Have you ever felt a quiet unease when you hear medical words like immune system damage, even when no one explains what they really mean? One of my patients once shared that a single phrase stayed with her for days, not because she was ill, but because the word itself sounded heavy and uncertain. I want you to imagine this for a moment. You are sitting at home, listening to health news in the background, and you wonder whether this information is meant to help you feel prepared or simply make you feel worried. I am Dr. Evelyn Carter, and for decades I have cared for older adults and supported families through moments just like this. When people hear about Nipah virus, especially alongside phrases about immune system damage, it can sound alarming. The truth is calmer than it often appears. Nipah virus is rare, and it is not part of everyday life for most people in the United States. When doctors talk about the immune system in this context, we are thinking about understanding and preparation, not danger. From long clinical experience, I have learned that uncertainty places more strain on the body than clear information ever does. Older adults, especially those living with anxiety or memory changes, are deeply affected by emotional tone. When explanations feel rushed or dramatic, sleep can suffer, routines can be disrupted, and the body may feel unsettled. Calm explanations do the opposite. They protect emotional safety, support rest, and help the immune system do its quiet work. Doctors use strong language with one another so we can monitor carefully and stay ready. That language was never meant to frighten families. It is meant to guide observation and care. Understanding this difference helps words lose their sharp edges and return to their proper place. This video is not about expecting illness. It is about understanding how the immune system is discussed so you can feel steadier and more confident. When understanding replaces uncertainty, the body relaxes and dignity is preserved. If this kind of calm explanation feels helpful, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Senior Health Daily. Your support helps us continue creating gentle, trustworthy guidance for older adults and families. In the next part, we will talk about why immune system language sounds frightening and how doctors actually think about it. For now, take a breath. You are here to understand, not to worry, and you are always welcome at Senior Health Daily. Why immune language sounds frightening. When people hear words like damage or weakness connected to the immune system, the reaction is often immediate and emotional. I have seen this many times while sitting across from older adults and their families. Even before a full explanation is offered, the body responds. The chest feels tight. The mind begins to race. This reaction is not irrational. It is deeply human. Our brains are designed to protect us. When unfamiliar medical language appears, especially language that sounds permanent or severe, the brain treats it as a potential threat. It fills in missing details with imagination rather than facts. For older adults, and particularly for those living with memory changes or long-standing anxiety, this response can be stronger. Emotional centers of the brain react faster than reasoning centers. Fear arrives first. Understanding follows later, if it arrives at all. Medical language is often created for efficiency between professionals, not for comfort. Words like damage are used to describe processes at a cellular level, not to describe how a person feels or what their future will look like. Outside of that professional context, the same word can feel personal and alarming. I often remind families that a medical term is not a verdict. It is a shorthand used in very specific settings. From years of caregiving experience, I have learned that uncertainty is more stressful than clear information. When the immune system is described without context, people imagine loss of control. They worry that their body is no longer protecting them. This belief alone can disturb sleep, appetite, and mood. The stress response activates hormones that strain the heart and cloud memory. The body feels under siege even when it is not. Simple science helps explain this. When the brain perceives threat, it releases stress hormones that prepare the body for action. This is helpful in immediate danger. It is not helpful when the threat is theoretical or poorly explained. Prolonged stress weakens resilience over time. For seniors, this can mean more fatigue, more confusion, and slower recovery from everyday challenges. I have watched the shift that happens when language is explained gently. When people understand that immune system language describes observation and monitoring, not certainty, their posture changes. Breathing slows. Questions become clearer. The body begins to feel safer. Emotional safety supports physical stability, especially in later life. This is why how we talk about health matters so deeply. Calm explanations protect routine and dignity. They allow older adults to remain grounded in their daily lives, rather than living inside medical worry. When immune language is translated with care, it loses its power to frighten. Understanding begins when fear is acknowledged, rather than dismissed. By recognizing why these words sound frightening, families and seniors can begin to hear information differently. This awareness opens the door to clarity, steadiness, and trust in the body's quiet ability to adapt and cope. How doctors understand the immune system. When doctors think about the immune system, we are not looking for a single moment or a single number to tell the whole story. We are watching patterns over time. The immune system is not a switch that turns on or off. It is a living process that adjusts, rests, responds, and recovers in rhythm with the rest of the body. In everyday practice, clinicians learn to step back from isolated concerns. A lab value, a headline, or a new term does not define a person's health on its own. We ask quieter questions. How has this person been sleeping? Are they eating with comfort? Has their energy changed gradually or suddenly? Are they staying oriented and emotionally settled in their daily routine? These observations tell us far more than any single word. This approach is especially important for older adults. As we age, the immune system becomes more deliberate. It may respond more slowly, but it often responds steadily when supported by rest, nutrition, and emotional calm. Doctors understand that stress and disruption can make the immune system appear weaker than it truly is. That is why we pay close attention to context. A body under strain can look very different from a body that feels safe. Worst-case thinking is not how medical care works. Planning for rare possibilities is part of preparation, not prediction. In clinical settings, we consider many outcomes so we can respond appropriately if something changes. This does not mean we expect those outcomes to occur. It means we are ready while continuing to support everyday well-being. Patterns are what guide decisions. When the immune system is struggling in a meaningful way, changes tend to repeat or progress. Fatigue persists. Recovery takes longer than expected. Small disruptions begin to stack rather than resolve. Doctors notice these trends and respond thoughtfully. They do not react to one-off moments in isolation. I often explain to families that the immune system speaks in sentences, not single words. It communicates through consistency or change across days and weeks. When routines are stable, these messages become clearer. When routines are disrupted by fear or constant monitoring, the signals become harder to interpret. From a caregiving perspective, this understanding brings relief. Families realize they do not need to watch constantly. They need to notice gently. Seniors benefit from this calm presence. Emotional safety supports immune balance. When the nervous system is settled, the immune system functions more smoothly. In my years of caring for older adults, I have seen how confidence grows when families understand this pattern-based approach. They feel less pressured to react and more able to observe. They trust their instincts and communicate more clearly with healthcare providers. Appointments become calmer and more collaborative. Understanding how doctors view the immune system helps place information in its proper frame. It shifts attention away from fear and toward steadiness. It honors the body's ability to adapt when given time, patience, and respect. This is the lens through which clinicians care for seniors, and it is a perspective that supports dignity and peace as we age. What immune system damage really means. When people hear the phrase immune system damage, it often sounds final, as if something precious has been lost and cannot be restored. I want to slow that moment down and gently explain how doctors actually use this phrase. In medical practice, damage does not mean defeat. It means observation. It is a way of describing changes that help us decide how closely to watch and how best to support the body. The immune system is not a single organ that breaks or heals all at once. It is a network of cells and signals that adjust constantly. Sometimes those adjustments are temporary. Sometimes they are subtle. When clinicians talk about immune system damage, we are usually describing a shift in how that system is responding right now, not a permanent condition, and not a prediction of what will happen next. In my years of caring for older adults, I have learned that this language is often used to guide monitoring. It tells healthcare teams to pay attention to recovery patterns, energy levels, and how the body responds to everyday challenges. It does not mean the immune system has stopped working. More often, it means the immune system is asking for gentler support and time. Monitoring is a quiet and thoughtful process. Doctors look for stability rather than perfection. They notice whether small changes resolve with rest and routine, or whether they continue despite support. This is especially important for seniors, whose bodies may take longer to rebound, but often do so steadily when stress is reduced. The word damage can sound alarming outside of this context. That is understandable. Without explanation, it can feel like a warning rather than a description. I often reassure families that medical language is meant to keep care attentive, not to frighten. The intention is preparation, not inevitability. Simple science helps here. Stress can temporarily alter immune responses. Poor sleep, anxiety, and disrupted routines can make the immune system appear weaker than it truly is. When those stressors are addressed, immune balance often improves. This is why emotional safety and routine are so important in later life. They allow the immune system to function more effectively. For individuals living with memory changes, calm monitoring is especially protective. Frequent alarm or urgent language can increase confusion and agitation, which in turn strains the body. Gentle observation preserves dignity and comfort. It supports clearer communication between caregivers and healthcare providers. Understanding this phrase as a tool for monitoring rather than a sentence for the future changes how it feels. It becomes information that guides care instead of a label that creates fear. Families feel steadier, seniors feel respected. Health conversations become quieter and more humane. This understanding allows the immune system to be seen for what it truly is: a resilient partner that responds best when the body feels safe, rested, and supported. That perspective honors the natural pace of aging and keeps care focused on stability and well-being rather than worry. Why older adults are discussed more often. When older adults are mentioned more often in conversations about the immune system, it can feel unsettling. I want to gently explain why this happens and why that attention is rooted in care rather than concern. In medicine, age is not a warning label. It is context. It helps clinicians understand how to offer support that respects the natural rhythm of an aging body. As we grow older, the immune system changes in thoughtful ways. It may respond a little more slowly, and it may rely more heavily on rest, nutrition, and emotional calm to stay balanced. This does not mean the immune system is failing. It means it is more sensitive to disruption. Sleep matters more. Routine matters more. Stress has a stronger effect. When doctors talk about older adults, they are acknowledging these realities so care can be gentler and more precise. I have cared for many seniors who remained remarkably steady when their days were predictable and their worries were few. I have also seen how quickly energy can dip when routines are interrupted or when fear enters the room. For those living with memory changes, emotional tone is especially powerful. Calm explanations support clarity. Urgent language can create confusion. Attention from healthcare teams is meant to protect against that confusion, not to create it. Age-related immune changes are often described to guide monitoring, not to signal danger. Doctors pay attention so they can notice patterns early and respond thoughtfully. This approach prevents problems rather than predicts them. It allows care teams to slow down, communicate clearly, and include caregivers in decisions that honor dignity and comfort. From a scientific perspective, chronic stress has a greater impact on immune balance in later life. Stress hormones can linger longer and interfere with sleep and recovery. This is why emotional safety is so important for seniors. When the environment feels safe and respectful, the immune system works more smoothly. The body does not need to stay on alert. It can focus on repair and resilience. Families sometimes worry that extra attention means something is expected to go wrong. I gently remind them that medicine works best when it is proactive and patient. Attention allows for reassurance. It allows for early support. It allows for care that fits the person rather than rushing them into categories. Understanding why older adults are discussed more often can bring relief. It reframes attention as a form of protection. It reminds families that care is being tailored, not intensified. Seniors feel seen rather than singled out. Caregivers feel supported rather than alarmed. This perspective helps health information settle more quietly into daily life. It keeps routines intact and preserves a sense of normalcy. When attention is understood as care, it becomes comforting rather than frightening. That comfort supports dignity, steadiness, and trust in the body as it ages. This is the foundation of compassionate senior care. And it is what we continue to nurture together at Senior Health Daily. What truly protects immune health in seniors? When we talk about protecting immune health in later life, the most powerful supports are often the quiet ones practiced every day. Over many years of caring for older adults, I have seen how sleep, routine, nutrition, emotional safety, and stress reduction work together like a steady foundation. These are not small comforts. They are daily signals to the body that it is safe enough to repair and respond. Sleep comes first because it touches everything else. Rest is when the immune system resets its balance and clears the byproducts of stress. Even modest disruptions in sleep can affect memory, mood, and resistance to ordinary illnesses. A consistent bedtime, gentle lighting in the evening, and reassurance before rest help the nervous system slow down. When sleep is protected, the immune system has the space it needs to function quietly and effectively. Routine is another strong protector. Predictable rhythms tell the body what to expect and conserve energy for healing. Regular mealtimes, familiar activities, and gentle movement at the same time each day support both immunity and cognition. For those living with memory changes, routine is especially important. It reduces confusion and lowers the stress response, which in turn supports immune balance. Nutrition supports immunity best when it is simple and steady. Regular meals with adequate protein, fruits, vegetables, and hydration give immune cells the materials they need. There is no need for extremes. Consistency matters more than perfection. When meals are rushed or skipped due to worry, the body feels the strain. Calm, unhurried eating supports digestion and absorption, which strengthens resilience. Emotional safety may be the most overlooked support of all. The immune system listens closely to the nervous system. When conversations are calm and explanations are clear, stress hormones remain lower. Blood pressure steadies. Breathing deepens. For seniors, especially those with anxiety or cognitive changes, emotional safety protects clarity and comfort. It allows the immune system to do its work without interference from fear. Stress reduction ties these elements together. Chronic stress keeps the body on alert and diverts energy away from repair. Gentle reassurance, familiar surroundings, and patient communication lower that alertness. I have watched seniors regain steadiness simply because the emotional temperature around them cooled. This is not coincidence. It is physiology responding to care. What protects immune health most reliably is not constant monitoring or alarm. It is the steady practice of these daily supports. When families focus on sleep, routine, nutrition, emotional safety, and stress reduction, they create an environment where the immune system can adapt and respond with dignity. This approach honors the natural pace of aging and keeps health grounded in ever. As we move through this conversation together, I want to pause for a moment in a way that feels natural and unhurried. Learning about the immune system, especially later in life, is not about mastering complex details. It is about feeling steady enough to trust your body and the care you are giving or receiving. Over the years, I have seen how understanding brings a quiet confidence that no urgent message ever could. Living with uncertainty does not require acceptance of every outcome. It simply allows life to keep moving, even when clarity has not arrived. Ordinary days return. Meals are prepared. Work is done. Rest is taken. These simple rhythms begin to hold life together again. Meaning often grows quietly inside repetition. From lived experience, people often discover that they are stronger than they realized. Not because uncertainty disappeared, but because they learned how to remain present within it. The nervous system slowly finds balance. Anxiety does not vanish, but it no longer controls every thought. Uncertainty does not mean abandonment. God remains present in these ordinary days, not waiting for clarity to arrive before drawing close. Presence shows up in routine, in endurance, in the quiet strength to keep showing up without needing to know the outcome. I have seen people look back on uncertain seasons and realize that their lives did not pause. They continued, they learned, they adapted. God was not absent. God was woven into the ordinary moments that carried them through. If you are learning to live with uncertainty, let this be recognized as wisdom rather than resignation. You are not settling. You are adjusting. Faith in these seasons is not about understanding everything. It is about remaining open while life reshapes itself slowly. As we move toward the close of this reflection, allow yourself to notice what has remained steady: your breath, your ability to continue, your willingness to return again today. These are not small things. They are signs of life moving forward, even without certainty. God remains here, not only in future clarity, but in the repetition of today, in the ordinary moments that quietly carry you, one day at a time. As we come to the end of this reflection, there is no need to rush toward resolution. Uncertainty does not disappear simply because it has been named, and that is not a failure. It is part of being human. If you are still unsure, still waiting, still carrying questions, nothing has gone wrong. Uncertainty does not mean you have fallen behind. It does not mean your faith is lacking. God has never required clarity, confidence, or emotional strength in order to remain close. Quiet presence is still presence. Small faith is still faith. Staying counts, even when nothing feels certain. Many older adults tell me they feel worn down by the volume of health information around them. There is so much to hear and so little time to process it calmly. What truly helps is not more noise, but clearer explanations offered with respect. When people feel informed rather than pressured, they make better choices. They sleep better. They stay connected to their routines and to one another. Caregiving often happens in small moments: a conversation at the kitchen table, a reassuring tone before bedtime, a familiar rhythm to the day. These moments matter more than dramatic warnings. They shape emotional safety, which in turn supports immune balance and overall well-being. When caregivers feel confident and supported, that calm presence carries through everything they do. This is why spaces like this exist. They are meant to feel like a conversation, not a lecture. A place where learning can happen without urgency. I'm Dr. Evelyn Carter from Senior Health Daily. If this video has helped you better understand your health, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing Senior Health Daily. Your support truly encourages us to continue creating calm, helpful, and trustworthy health content made especially for you. Sharing this information is not about spreading concern. It is about offering reassurance to someone who may need it. A quiet recommendation can help another family feel less alone. It can remind a caregiver that patience and routine are powerful forms of care. It can help an older adult feel seen rather than overwhelmed. I believe health education should leave people feeling steadier than when they arrived. When knowledge is shared gently, it becomes something we can carry with ease. It settles into daily life without disruption. It supports dignity rather than challenging it. As we continue, remember that you do not need to hold everything at once. Take what feels helpful and let the rest rest. Health is built slowly through understanding, consistency, and compassion. This shared calm is what allows information to heal rather than unsettle, and it is something we will continue to nurture together at Senior Health Daily. When families should pay attention. Families often ask me how to know when something truly deserves attention and when it is healthier to simply observe and continue with daily life. This question comes from love, and it deserves a gentle answer. Paying attention does not mean watching constantly. It means noticing changes that have meaning over time. The body has a steady way of communicating. When something needs care, it usually shows up as a pattern rather than a single moment. A day of low energy after poor sleep is not the same as fatigue that lingers and slowly deepens. A brief moment of confusion during stress is different from confusion that repeats and begins to interfere with routine. Meaningful changes tend to stay, return, or gradually grow. That is when attention is helpful and appropriate. Calm observation begins with knowing what is normal for the person you care for. Every older adult has a personal rhythm. There is a usual appetite, a familiar sleep pattern, a typical way of engaging with others. When that rhythm shifts in a way that does not settle with rest, reassurance, or routine, it is worth pausing and noticing. This kind of attention is quiet and respectful. It does not rush the body or the mind. Hypervigilance often comes from fear of missing something. I understand that feeling. Yet constant checking can blur judgment rather than sharpen it. When everything is watched closely, nothing stands out clearly. Anxiety can make ordinary variations feel urgent, which raises stress for both caregivers and seniors. That stress can disrupt sleep, increase confusion, and make the body feel less safe. I often remind families that routine itself is a form of monitoring. When days are consistent, changes become easier to see without effort. You do not need to scan constantly. The body will show you when something is different. This allows attention to arise naturally rather than from worry. Communication with healthcare providers works best when it is based on patterns. Being able to say something has changed over several days or weeks helps clinicians respond thoughtfully. It leads to calmer conversations and clearer guidance. Families feel more confident when they trust their observations, rather than reacting to every new concern. For those living with memory changes, emotional tone matters deeply. Calm attention supports dignity. It allows the person to feel cared for rather than watched. This sense of safety helps preserve cooperation and comfort, which are essential parts of well-being. Learning when to pay attention is a skill that grows with experience. It is built on patience and trust in the body's signals. When families understand this balance, they feel steadier. They remain present without becoming anxious. Care becomes gentler and more effective. This way of paying attention honors both health and peace. It allows seniors to live their days without constant interruption and allows caregivers to breathe more easily. That balance is one of the most compassionate gifts we can offer as we walk alongside one another here at Senior Health Daily. Emotional safety and immune balance. Emotional safety is not an abstract idea. It is something the body feels and responds to every day. Over the years, I have seen how closely the immune system listens to the emotional environment around it. When fear and stress are present, the body shifts into a state of alert. When calm and reassurance are present, the body settles into repair and balance. Stress activates the nervous system in a way that was designed for short moments of danger, not for long periods of uncertainty. When stress lingers, stress hormones remain elevated. This affects sleep, appetite, blood pressure, and immune response. The body spends more energy staying watchful and less energy restoring itself. Over time, this can weaken resilience, especially in older adults whose systems are already working more deliberately. Emotional safety lowers that burden. Calm voices, predictable routines, and respectful explanations signal to the brain that it is safe to rest. When the brain feels safe, breathing slows and muscles relax. This creates the conditions the immune system needs to function steadily. It is one of the reasons emotional well-being is so closely tied to physical health in later life. In dementia care, this connection becomes even more important. Individuals living with memory changes rely heavily on emotional cues. They may not remember every word, but they remember how they feel. When fear enters the room, it can increase confusion, agitation, and withdrawal. These responses place additional stress on the body and can disrupt sleep and appetite. Emotional safety helps reduce these reactions. It preserves clarity and comfort. I have often watched a person with dementia respond more positively to a calm presence than to any medical intervention. A familiar routine, a gentle tone, and patient reassurance can stabilize mood and behavior in ways that directly support immune balance. This is not a soft idea. It is grounded in how the nervous and immune systems communicate with one another. Caregivers sometimes worry that staying calm means ignoring problems. In reality, emotional safety allows problems to be seen more clearly. When fear is lowered, patterns become easier to notice. Decisions are made thoughtfully rather than urgently. This leads to better care and less strain on everyone involved. Reducing fear does not mean avoiding information. It means presenting information in a way that respects the body's need for steadiness. Seniors thrive when they feel respected and unhurried. Their immune systems respond to that respect with greater balance. Creating emotional safety is an act of care that happens moment by moment. It is built through patience, consistency, and trust. When fear is replaced with reassurance, resilience grows quietly. This balance supports dignity and well-being, and it is one of the most meaningful ways we can care for aging bodies and minds together at Senior Health Daily. Awareness without alarm. Awareness is meant to steady us, not shake us. In medicine, awareness helps us notice patterns, ask thoughtful questions, and respond with care. Alarm does the opposite. It narrows attention, speeds the heart, and pushes the body into a constant state of readiness that is exhausting over time. For older adults, that exhaustion matters. Calm understanding supports better immune function because the immune system works best when the body is not under constant stress. When fear is present, stress hormones remain elevated. This interferes with sleep, digestion, and the quiet repair work the immune system does each day. When understanding replaces fear, the body shifts back toward balance. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and restorative processes resume. These changes may seem subtle, but their impact accumulates. Clear understanding also supports clearer decisions. Families who feel informed rather than alarmed are more likely to observe gently and respond appropriately. They notice changes without assuming the worst. They communicate with healthcare providers more effectively. Conversations become collaborative rather than urgent. This clarity protects both emotional and physical health. I often remind families that the immune system is not a switch that suddenly fails. It is a responsive system that adjusts constantly based on sleep, nutrition, stress, and emotional state. Awareness helps us support those daily factors. Alarm distracts from them. When attention is focused only on rare risks, the everyday supports that truly matter can be overlooked. In dementia care, awareness without alarm is especially important. Individuals with memory changes are highly sensitive to emotional tone. Anxiety in caregivers is often felt immediately, even if the reason for that anxiety is not understood. This can lead to agitation, confusion, or withdrawal. Calm awareness creates a more stable environment. It allows routines to continue and preserves dignity. Better decisions come from steadiness. When the nervous system is calm, the brain can weigh information, remember context, and choose responses that fit the situation. This is true for caregivers and for seniors themselves. Calm understanding encourages patience. It makes room for questions rather than conclusions. Awareness also reminds us of proportion. Rare conditions are discussed in medicine, so systems can prepare and monitor, not so families live in fear. Understanding this distinction helps information find its proper place. It becomes a tool rather than a burden. Living with awareness means staying open and attentive without being overwhelmed. It means trusting that the body has resilience and that care is a process, not a race. When families learn in this way, confidence grows naturally. At Senior Health Daily, the goal is to offer information that settles rather than startles. Calm understanding supports immune balance and thoughtful care. When knowledge is shared gently, it strengthens resilience and helps everyone move forward with steadier hearts and clearer minds. How understanding builds confidence. Understanding has a quiet way of changing how people carry themselves. I have seen this many times with families who begin a conversation feeling tense and uncertain, then slowly soften as things become clearer. When fear fades, it does not leave an empty space. It leaves room for confidence to grow. Confidence does not mean ignoring health concerns. It means knowing how to hold them without panic. Families who understand what medical language truly means are less likely to imagine worst-case outcomes. They stop scanning every moment for danger. Instead, they observe with care and patience. This shift alone reduces a great deal of strain, especially in households caring for older adults. As confidence grows, patience follows. Caregivers who feel steadier respond more gently to daily challenges. They are less rushed and less reactive. In dementia care, this patience is especially powerful. Older adults with memory changes sense calm more than words. When caregivers move slowly and speak with reassurance, the environment feels safer. That sense of safety supports better sleep, appetite, and emotional balance. Understanding also improves communication. Families who feel informed ask clearer questions and listen more openly. Medical visits become conversations rather than moments of tension. This leads to better shared decisions and a stronger sense of partnership with healthcare providers. Confidence allows families to trust both the process and themselves. Effective caregiving is not about constant vigilance. It is about consistency. When fear fades, routines are easier to protect. Meals happen at familiar times. Rest is not interrupted by worry. Small comforts regain their importance. These routines do more for health than most people realize. They support the immune system, emotional stability, and dignity. I often remind families that the body responds best to calm confidence. Stress signals danger even when none is present. Confidence signals safety. For older adults, that signal matters deeply. A calm environment allows the body to focus on maintenance and repair rather than defense. Over time, this supports resilience. Understanding also brings self-trust. Caregivers begin to believe in their ability to notice meaningful changes without becoming overwhelmed. They learn that they do not need to know everything to provide good care. They only need enough clarity to stay grounded and attentive. This is why education, when offered gently, is such a powerful tool. It does not burden families with responsibility. It frees them from unnecessary fear. Confidence grows quietly through understanding, patience, and routine. At Senior Health Daily, this is always the intention, to help families feel steadier and more capable. When fear fades, confidence takes its place, and with confidence comes calmer care, stronger relationships, and a deeper respect for the aging body and the life it carries. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this conversation. Simply being here, listening quietly, already says something meaningful about the care you have for yourself or for someone you love. I want to gently remind you of something important. Learning about immune system damage does not mean you should expect illness. Knowledge is not a warning. When it is shared with care, understanding creates calm rather than fear. Over many years of caring for older adults, I have learned a simple truth. The aging body responds best when it feels safe, respected, and unhurried. Fear places the body on constant alert. Calm allows it to rest, repair, and adapt. Emotional safety is not separate from physical health. It supports resilience in ways medicine alone cannot always provide. Routine also carries dignity. Familiar rhythms of sleep, meals, movement, and quiet moments help the body feel anchored. They tell the nervous system that life is steady. This steadiness matters deeply, especially for seniors and for those living with memory changes. When life feels predictable and gentle, the body is better able to protect itself. If there is one message I hope you carry with you, it is this: you do not need to know everything to care well. You only need enough understanding to stay calm, attentive, and patient. Trust grows from that place. Trust in your body. Trust in your ability to notice what truly matters. Trust in the quiet strength that comes with experience. Senior Health Daily exists for moments like this. It is a place to return when health information feels too loud or overwhelming. There is no urgency here, no pressure to act or decide, just steady companionship, thoughtful guidance, and reassurance. Whenever you need a calmer voice, you are always welcome back.